guys, what's up? It's Joe Rady from Rady's Rides. Yes, we are back once again for another driving vlog involving this car right here. What the heck is it? It's a cacti green, new color for 2024 C8 Corvette E-Ray, of course from Chevrolet. But before we get into this all-wheel drive electrified beast, let's talk about what's going on here. Wanting to bring you a driving series to really answer questions, talk about life, talk about things that I've been through car-wise to kind of relate to you. But in this one, what I really want to do is I actually want to take you for a drive. You're going to go with me to my favorite local Cars and Coffee event. It's out in Sarasota. It's literally called Sarasota Cars and Coffee. And what I want to do is I want to find out with you if you think that this E-Ray is one of the best vehicles to roll in to your local Cars and Coffee event. And I also want to talk about too why I think Sarasota Cars and Coffee is the best and really just checks off so many boxes for me. And if you've never been to a Cars and Coffee event, I want to talk about what the heck you're missing out on, because there's lots of car enthusiasm to be had at a local event like that. So let's go ahead. I got the top down, jump in. We're gonna go across the Skyway Bridge and head to Sarasota Cars and Coffee together. So let's get to it. All right, guys, good morning, rise and shine. We are heading over to Sarasota Cars and Coffee. Right now it's about 6:30 in the morning. What I did is I have it in stealth mode. So I was able to back it out of my garage, out of my driveway, and now we're in full stealth mode. And you're gonna see how you're able to, like I say, leave your neighborhood, leave your house, because Lori's asleep, Oscar's asleep. If you don't know who Oscar is, that's our little dog. That's some random person, but they're asleep. I'm going to Cars and Coffee, and I didn't want to wake them up, so you could do it in full stealth mode. And here we are, totally silent, in a C8 E-Ray. And this is what I really wanted to point out right off the bat, is that the fact that you can drive in your neighborhood, and if you want to keep the peace, then you could do it in total stealth mode. For me, it was all about not waking up Lori. Most of the time I like to let the V8s sing, so to speak, and I haven't gotten any complaints from my neighbors, so either they like it or they just know who they're living by. But right now we're doing about 42 miles an hour. On the head-up display, it gives you a battery charge, and like I said, this is not meant to be some type of set up to where if you wanted to go 50 miles on pure EV, it's not going to happen. That's not what this car is about. The battery is just way too small in here. But the cool news is that when you're ready to let that V8 roar, you just go ahead, put it into the modes that you want, and the engine comes to life. So now we're out of stealth mode. You obviously can hear that V8. And it's really cool because if you think about it, the technology that's in this car is actually more in alignment with what Cadillac runs in the IMSA GTP class. Because when they come into the pits, if you've never watched an IMSA race, when they come into the pits, the engine shuts off, and when they leave the pits, it's all under electric power. And it's cool because like 50 yards away from the pit box, that is when the sound kicks in from the mighty V8. And that's what we have right now, because what's great is I could just go on throttle. If you're ready, I'm ready. Early morning. On throttle, here we go. And that's what's cool about driving this car to Cars and Coffee is that having the V8 rumble, but also having that little electric side to it as well. What I'm gonna do is when we leave Sarasota Cars and Coffee today, we're gonna do it under pure EV and see if that sparks, no pun intended, sparks any extra curiosity, because I have a feeling that people are gonna be very curious as to what the heck is going on with the car, and having that setup to where it's just totally silent in stealth mode. And remember, you also have shuttle mode, which what's great about shuttle mode is that sometimes when you get to a Cars and Coffee event, you might pull in, and when you get out of the car, you're like, whoa, I'm too close to the curb, or I'm too close to the car next to me, or you're sticking out too far, or you're just not happy with the placement of the car, with how you park the car. And what you could do is you just go into shuttle mode, and you could actually move the car, and nobody's gonna be the wiser, because it's gonna be totally silent, instead of you having to fire up the LT2, get that roar, move the car, and all that. Now, as you can see, it's sprinkling just a little bit, but that's just in my area. I live in an area called Clearwater. We're driving about an hour south going to the Sarasota Cars and Coffee. That's where Sarasota is located. But the good news is, being in the E-Ray, I'm not worried about it, because we have that all-wheel drive grip. And that's what's gonna keep you so confident, is that no matter if it downpours, no matter if it snows, no matter what happens, you are prepared. And that's one of the things, like driving my Camaro ZL11LE, I would probably have to turn around. The reason why is with those Goodyear Supercar 3R tires, they don't have a lot of tread, and they're not good in the rain. So with this vehicle, it's not a problem, because you can go just about anywhere with it. But like I said, because we're going south, I'm not worried about the rain too much, because I know the forecast in Sarasota is a little bit more dry. We made it through that rain. I'm gonna go ahead and put it into manual shift mode, because this is a new stretch of elevated highway that they have that will take us right to the Skyway Bridge, and really just it's a place to where we can open it up. I mean, it's very, very quiet right now this early on a Saturday morning, but taking the E-Ray, it's an interesting situation, because yeah, a lot of people want to see the Z06, but there's not a lot of these available yet. And that's what's going to make it extra fun for sure. Let me quiet her a little bit. But just very comfortable. I got my coffee here, obviously Cars and Coffee, and just really feels phenomenal behind the wheel of this car, especially with the downshifts. I mean, the downshifts and the upshifts from the Tremec. On throttle, here we go. Look at that. It's definitely a fun car to drive no matter where you're going, but especially Cars and Coffee. The sound of the V8 is really, really nice, because that is that classic Corvette sound, right? Is that V8. That's one of the things that with the Z06, if you're not used to that higher pitch, a lot of people don't understand it right away. but with the V8 in here, they get. The power is just ridiculous. The torque, I mean, if you want a torquey experience going to Cars and Coffee, this is it. Look at this, here we go. All the grip, all-wheel drive. Nice! As we are here at the Skyway Bridge, one thing I want to point out is there's a Yenko SC Tahoe, and I've never even seen one of those in person. That is a heavily modified, supercharged Tahoe. I mean, look at that thing. It's got the striping and everything, but I'm downshifting for the toll booth. I have a thing called the Sun Pass, so we don't have to actually stop. And then we're gonna go on throttle. Here we go! I heard the V8 rumble from that Yenko. Here we go, baby! But now that we're getting ready to go over the Skyway Bridge, let me give you a little bit of a history lesson with the bridge. So back in the late 1970s, the original Skyway Bridge, which is such a nice, easy way to get from where I live to Sarasota. If I didn't have the ability to access this bridge, or if the bridge didn't exist, you would have to go all the way from Clearwater to Tampa and then to Sarasota, and that would probably take about an hour and a half. Because of the bridge, it takes about 45 minutes this time of day getting from Clearwater to Sarasota. But back in the late 1970s, the original Skyway Bridge was struck by a ship, and the center section actually collapsed. There was, I want to say 76 people, if I remember correctly, 76 people wound up dying that day when the ship hit the bridge. And you can see the bridge now off in the distance ahead of us. They have it much higher. The original bridge was metal. This bridge is much more modern and goes much higher than the old bridge. And the old bridge, they blew it up, and now it's a man-made reef for fish and all the other aquatic life in the water. But to our right is actually the old bridge, part of it, that the concrete expansions that took you to the main section of the bridge. But what happened was the oil tank, I don't know if it was an oil tanker. I don't think it was an oil tanker. It was just a shipping vessel, large shipping vessel, wound up hitting one of the posts and knocked it down. Now, what is kind of interesting is that they actually left the old bridge up and built another bridge, Skyway Bridge, right next to it. Basically, same material, same height and everything else. And I remember when we first moved to Florida, my dad used to scare the hell out of me because going over the bridge, the newer version, not this version that we're on right now, but the newer version, you could see the old bridge and where it stopped, where the gap was, where the people went over the side. There was actually a bus, a charter bus of people went over the edge of the bridge. And what my dad would do is start shaking the car and saying, oh my God, I think the bridge is gonna collapse. And that would freak me out as a freaking kid, man. That really freaked me out. But with the new bridge, not only is it higher, they put these big, huge bumpers, these concrete bumpers there, so that if any of the cruise line ships or anything else goes to lose control, it's not gonna hit the main part. Now, if you're wondering what's up with all the fence, believe it or not, What's sad is that the Skyway Bridge, this bridge that we're on right now, is one of the #1 bridges where people come to end their life, and that it's heartbreaking. And you know, they have these phones that are positioned every so often at the top of the bridge, where you could pick that up and actually get somebody on the line if you're not feeling well, and you're thinking about doing something that you probably don't want to do. But what they did was they now put fencing to make it a little bit more challenging for people to carry out what they want to accomplish there. But that's sad, and I know there's certain people upset about that because it kills the beauty of the scene. But it really is beautiful going to Cars and Coffee in this E-Ray, and just you got the sun's out, and I don't know, it's interesting because yes, the car does definitely weigh more than a Stingray, weighs more than an E-Ray, excuse me, than a Z06, but I think the E-Ray, it handles the bumps in the road even better than the other two because you have a little bit extra weight. And handling, remember, is going to be a little extra interesting because we have that battery pack right here. It's right in the center. It's nice and low. And if you compare the vehicle to an NSX, this is definitely the better setup. They definitely got this right. Not to say that the NSX was wrong, but it had a little too much tech. I mean, having 3 electric motors compared to just 1, that to me is just a little too techy. And I think that's what added too much weight and too much complexity to the car. Another thing to remember is that this car still likes to be rear-wheel drive playful. And that was one thing that I remember when we flew to Michigan to get a ride in this thing, when GM wasn't ready for auto journalists to drive it, but they gave us a ride in one. You can tell just how playful the back of the car was compared to an NSX. And I think when you're out on your favorite twisty road or on a track, that you're going to enjoy that a little bit more because it's going to feel a little bit more familiar to you as a rear-wheel drive setup, but yet you have that ultimate front-end grip as well from the electric motor. But yeah, it's one of those cars that makes the experience going to Cars and Coffee just a little bit more, you know. And remember, there's no gas guzzler tax with this car. You don't have any gas guzzler tax, and it still will shut down 4 of its cylinders. So depending on the mode that you're in, right now I'm in Zora mode, in Z mode, it's not going to shut down any of the cylinders. But it does have cylinder deactivation if you're in, say, normal mode, where it will illuminate on the dash. It'll say V4, letting you know that you are running on 4 cylinders and not on all 8. But the great news about this car is, like I said, at any time you can just drop it down, go on throttle, and you have all that grip. And remember, the electric motor disconnects, shuts off as you get closer to 150 miles an hour. When you hit 150 miles an hour, you're just rear-wheel drive at that point. I think another thing that I'm really liking about the car is having that extra screen of information that's unique to the E-Ray. I have my electric output, the engine output. It gives you the percentages. I can bring up the dyno chart, which is kind of cool. It's just those different things that I think that's where technology kind of helps with the overall experience. But I mean, having adaptive cruise control, having all the safety features, it makes sure that you're going to be very, very safe. And, you know, they've done the work for sure when it comes to the chassis in this E-Ray. All right, guys, so here we are, University Town Center Shops. And this is where we will be entering for the event. And each month you get like 800 cars that show up, and that's what makes it really exciting. It's one of those things that people that know what this car is are really gonna take notice, and that's the bottom line. But we're pulling into VIP parking now. Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Hi, I'm Joe.
Hi, Joe.
I was supposed to tell you that Pete put me on the list.
Okay.
Yeah.
Joe, awesome. Let me...
Yeah, go ahead. Rady, yes.
Yeah, I gotcha.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
So if you want, you could do nose to cones here, or you go all the way down at the end.
Okay,
and you should
back
just
it
be
in.
able to back it.
Okay, thank
Yep,
you.
absolutely.
Thank you. But as you can see, many people are paying attention to what this E-Ray is all about, that's for sure. We're gonna pull it right next to this other C8. And here we are. We're at Sarasota Cars and Coffee. And what I'm gonna do is because this is a 2024, I'm gonna pop the back so people can see the engine compartment, because that's something that's new on the car. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put the top down, and that's gonna allow people to see what the engine is. All right, guys, we're in stealth mode, and I am ready to leave Cars and Coffee, and we're doing it under total silence. No sound whatsoever from this E-Ray. Wonder how people are gonna take it because of the dead silence. Totally quiet. So really weird. This is my first time, I think, leaving Cars and Coffee and not having any sound to it. That to me is the most bizarre thing. And you can see how people love to watch. No sound whatsoever. And it just, it gets people's attention with it being so quiet. But yeah, Sarasota Cars and Coffee. And then what's cool is once you put it in your mode, then the engine comes back on, and now we have not only the EV, but also we have the sound of the V8. I don't know if you heard, I felt like I heard somebody say, "Whoa, what was that?" when the V8 came alive. So that's pretty cool how they're how you're able to utilize the technology, just something really, really different and unique. And that's what it's like to drive this E-Ray to Cars and Coffee. Lots of people were asking about the color. I feel like that was the #1 thing where people were like, what is this? Is it a wrap? Is it a special paint job? Cacti green, which is what this color is only available for 2024, not available for 2025, and you just don't see it a lot. So it was cool to be able to tell people about that. Had a crowd of people asking me questions about the E-Ray system, if it's a plug-in, how does it work? And then of course, the engine cover. A lot of people that had 23s and 22s and 21 convertibles were really wanting to have that see-through color. But I'm gonna put it into manual shift mode. Are you ready? We're gonna go on throttle. On throttle, here we go. Nice. Got another C4 next to us. C4, I wish it was a C4. I have a C4. Got a C8 up there. Looks like a C8 Stingray. But that's the thing too that's kind of cool driving the E-Ray to Cars and Coffee, is that you're really part of the club. I mean, it's one of those things where there's so many Corvettes at the show. I think that that's probably at this show, you see more Corvettes than any other brand of vehicle. And it really is awesome to be part of the club and to share the passion, not just for cars, but also for the Corvette, and just the curiosity factor. I think that's the thing you're gonna find is when you take, if you get an E-Ray, when you take it to those first few Cars and Coffee events, people are shocked to find out what it is, and they wanna learn more about it. And to me, that's the fun part. As you are aware, I love talking about cars, and I love, you know, letting people know what it's all about, that this is not a green vehicle. It's not about getting maximum MPGs. It's about being quiet and having then the all-wheel drive performance with that pushrod V8. It's really the perfect blending of pushrod and technology. Whereas the Z06 uses that flat plane crankshaft, which is more exotic, right? That's what gives it that high revving sound to it. But the great thing is that it's so easy to drive, it's so comfortable, and now I can enjoy my drive back to Clearwater in the E-Ray after all the excitement. It's funny because normally I get to walk around and see some more cars than what I did, but because of the E-Ray, a lot of people wanted to find out about it, and I'm glad that's why I brought it, was because I wanted to let people learn about it, because it's not like you could just go up to your Chevrolet dealership and they got a bunch of E-Rays sitting around. But I'm hoping that you enjoyed this driving vlog. We're gonna go on throttle here, get around some of these people, a little slow. But just a very comfortable car to drive, and definitely check out the full drive review, because I'm going to show you just how great it is to go on throttle and to go through the twisty bits. But I'm hoping that you enjoyed this type of driving vlog. I want to do more of these to give you a bigger, deeper dive into certain vehicles. Not all vehicles, but in certain vehicles like this E-Ray. We're going to get back to where it all started and wrap this one up. So I'll see you in a Corvette minute. All right, guys, I'm so glad I could share that with you. Taking you for that early morning drive, going across the Skyway Bridge, and being able to enjoy the E-Ray, but also be able to share it with other people. That's one of the things I love about Cars and Coffee events, is sharing the car passion and all the different types of cars that you'll find at a Cars and Coffee event. But let me know what you think. If you were going to go to a Cars and Coffee event, do you want to do it in the E-Ray after seeing what it's like with me? Let me know down in that comment section. But if you're new to the channel, you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raised Rides family. Got to give it up to the Flood Man. He loves Corvettes. He loves cars and coffee. He loves coffee. Steven actually drinks more coffee than I've seen anybody drink. So we'll get you caffeinated a little bit more, Steven, to get you through the next 10 cars we got to film. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.